Hey guys, Tara here from Recovering Book Hoarder, here to bring you my TBR for the month of February. This month I decided, since 29 days in February, because it's leap year, my TBR, I wanted to pick 10 books. Pretty much for each month, my minimum I want to pick is 10. When I did my Bookopoly, I decided though that if I had any doubles, I was not going to count those as doubles this month. So I have a total of 10 books to tell you about that I plan to read this month. I also decided at the end of last month that if I don't get through a book for some reason, it has to go. It has to get unhauled. Because to me, if I don't get through it, that means I just wasn't excited enough to read it. So, with that in mind, here is my TBR for February of 2020. My first pick is The Quentin Sisters by Shelley Wood. This is from my 20 to read in 2020 list. So when I bought this, I thought that this was based on a true story, and looking at it again, it is not. So this is a work of fiction. It is about a family in 1934 who already have 5 kids, and miraculously, the mom delivers 5 baby girls. I think the biggest one's like 3 pounds something, and the smallest one weighs 1 pound something. They're all born alive for the first time. It's the first time on record that a set of quintuplets has been born alive, and they survive. These poor parents, you know, 1934. The dad's a farmer, mom doesn't work, they already have 5 kids. They can't for the life of them figure out how they are going to take care of 5 babies plus the 5 kids that they already have. So an opportunity arises for them to put their kids on display at the Chicago World's Fair, and then I believe they kind of go on to be displayed for the rest of the world for quite a time to go after that. And so then the parents get money for them being on display and things like that. So sounds very interesting. I'm really excited to get into this one. I had bought this last year. So, book 1. Okay, book 2. This is from my 20 Christian books in 2020, and that is Experiencing God by Henry and Richard Blackaby, along with Claude King. And so this is a book about getting closer to God, developing a closer personal relationship with Him, and helping to identify His will in your life. Okay, my second book from my 20 Christian in 2020 is Becoming Myself by Stacey Eldredge, and it's Embracing God's Dream for You. This is about changing. Does anybody ever change? I think is the first sentence. And how God changes you sometimes quickly, but then other times how He changes, His change in your life works very slowly, and why that is, how to improve your relationship with God and have a personal relationship with Him. My next book is Story Thieves by James Riley. This was on my Bookopoly, the prompt was young adult or middle grade, so this is a middle grade, and this is a story about this boy's mom works in a library, and he loves the library, he loves reading, and one day, sitting in class, he's in like the most boringest class ever, he feels like. It's a math class, so I can totally relate. And he sees a girl in the back of the class who's like down behind her book, and when she comes up, it looks like there's chocolate all over her mouth, and he's like, oh, she's gonna get chocolate over the book. That's not how you treat books, and he's kind of irritated. Later on that day, he finds the book the girl was reading, and it was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and it was just laying in the hallway at school. He discovers it was a library book from his mom's library. So later on that day, whenever he goes back to the library, he is shelving books, helping her out, and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory book, when he goes to put it back, starts to move and jumps out of his hand. And next thing he knows, the book opens, and the girl he had seen earlier was literally climbing out of the book. And so, as it turns out, that girl is half fictional, and she's on a quest to find her dad, and it's about the journey that these two kids go on to find this girl's father. So far, I did read the first chapter, and I liked it. I'm excited. Okay, the next one is The Swimming Pool. This one is about a woman who was murdered. It takes place many, many years after the murder. And her two kids are still looking for answers. Her daughter is suffering from PTSD. Her son finds a bathing suit in the closet that does not belong to his mother. And he kind of remembers back from childhood who it belonged to. And so he goes to seek out this woman to find out if she has any answers for him. His father had been questioned and as possibly being the murderer of his mother. But his dad had died a couple years back. So it kind of sounds like a family drama. Okay, this is The Matchmakers of Butternut Creek by Jane Myers Perrin, and this is my series wrap-up book that I picked for the month. This is book 2 in the Butternut Creek series, and this series follows a young, I'm not sure if he's a priest or a pastor, I'm not sure what, I can't remember what term they used, but he moves to this small town and kind of think like a Stars Hollow type of setting, and about the people in the church. They really want to see him settle down because he's single. He's young, he's single, and their goal is to get this priest married. So the first book was actually, even though they're like trying to get him set up, was about a different romance and two people that came together with, you know, some troubled pasts. But I really, really loved it, and so I'm really excited to get back into the series and reading the second one. Okay, my next one is Through the Gates of Splendor by Elizabeth Elliot. This is my pick for a book club that I run with my friend Ruth. It's called the Circle of Sisters Book Club, and this is about Elizabeth Elliot's husband had gone with a group of men to be missionaries, Aka Indians. And while he's there, that tribe of Indians, they end up murdering her husband and all of the men that are there. And so this is Elizabeth's story and how ultimately she ends up going back, her and her kids, and continue his that ministry and minister to the Aka Indians and the relationships that they form. And it really goes into, you know, people ask the question of, well, how could God let, you know, tragedies like that happen? But it shows that that good things can come from tragedy, things that can affect people way beyond the sphere of one person, and what someone's lasting legacy can be. So I've been really excited to read this one. It's been on my shelf for a long time. So this will be one of the first ones I read this month, so I can make sure I get it done in time for book club. And that is Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan. It's fiction based on a real life story, kind of like along the lines of Loving Frank, Z, those books. So this one is about C.S. Lewis, his meeting of his wife Joy, and their relationship. So this is, again, I think I bought this one 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm really excited to read that. Okay, my Jodi Picoult book for this month is Change of Heart. My friend Jackie loaned me 3 of her Jodi Picoult books, so those are going to be the next, for my, this month, and then the next 2 months are going to be the ones that she loaned to me. This one says, would you give up your vengeance against someone you hate if it meant saving someone you love? Would you want your dreams to come true if it meant granting your enemies a dying wish? So, like all of hers, sounds very intriguing, and I can't wait to get into more Jodi Picoult. My last one, I landed on a space that says Jane Austen or Louisa May Alcott. So I decided to go with the Louisa May Alcott. This is a compilation from the Barnes & Noble. Beautiful. I love this. But I had started this last year. I had started Little Women, got to page 116, and then put it down. I like it. I'm enjoying it. I just have a hard time picking it back up. So my goal is not to read this entire book, but to just read the first book, which is Little Women, in here. So those are my books for February 2020. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up. Bye.